Transitioning now. Should be good. What a glorious day here in the Pacific Northwest. It's just gorgeous here. And I know I'm a few minutes behind 420, but you know, I'm an Ishwitch. So it's 420-ish. I couldn't step away from the sunshine here for a moment to connect with all of you. It was sort of between a rock and a hard place there for a moment, because I just feel the beautiful vitamin D that the energy from the sun is gifting me. And I know over the last several days we've been really hit with some geomagnetic storms. Now, I don't know the data. You're going to have to Google that yourself, because that's not what I do. I'm sure if Grim grabs this somehow, he'll probably give us some stats, or maybe Susan or someone, but I just know, geomagnetically speaking, there has been an uptick. There's also an uptick from the Earth herself, with the earthquakes that are occurring, and the different volcanic activity that's going along. Oh, candle not wanting to stay lit. There's something to consider. Let's try this one more time as I call our ancestors forward. To be with us in this time, in this space. To connect with the God, Goddess energy, our divine spark, our own creative flow. May the energy build here. May the words that need to be heard be said. May I say them clearly. May I hear them clearly, with understanding on my own right, so that I may be a better guide as we move through this ascension, this awakening that's happening. You know, I can't stress to you enough, if you watch Grim and I and you hear us talk about vibrational energy shifts or vibrational energy, some people call it ascension syndrome. Some people call it awakening syndrome, or awakening, you're awakening. And either way really does describe what is actually happening. It's because, you know, it's kind of like learning to read when you were a child. It's kind of like learning to read when you were a child, because, you see, as you learned to read, you added sounds to letters and symbols that led to understanding that when these letters and symbols were put together in a certain fashion, that they formed words that you could then not only hear with your ears, but see with your eyes. And there was a different level of understanding. As we learn to read and learn our own languages that we're destined to learn in this lifetime, it's kind of like, once you know how to read the word themselves, it's not something you can unlearn. Well, of course, let's not talk about traumatic brain injury issues like that. I'm not talking about those outlier syndromes like that. I am talking about once you learn or achieve a level of awakening and remembering, and you are putting symbols with sounds, we don't typically digress back. We usually continue moving forward, expanding that knowledge, adding to it as we go. And that's where we find ourselves spiritually right now as well. I know a lot of people that follow us started off as Grim and I did. We were both raised, particularly me, in a Christian household. Not saying anything against Grim's family, but it was a bit more undecided than mine was for a while. And I know that I came to an understanding on my own spiritual path as a youngster, learning about the stories of Christ and the books of the Bible. Those were my foundations as well, as many of you started off in that same way. I know this to be true. And there comes a time when you start wondering, well, you know, this all makes sense, but it really doesn't make sense. What makes sense is understanding the elements and understanding that there's more to what we are than what we are seeing, than what we are being shown. Once you reach that level of understanding, it's kind of hard to go back. It's hard to go back and just be what you were before that knowledge came to you. I wonder, you know, talking about a biblical connotation here, I wonder if that story, whichever part of it may be true, where, you know, Eve accepted this apple from the supposed Satan, and there's all kinds of different conversations we could have about what that truly meant and who Eve truly was and who the serpent actually represented and where it actually occurred, we could have lovely conversations about that. And Grimm would like to join us, I'll bet. But at the very least, you have to wonder, once Eve understood, once she had her mind opened a bit more and understood a little more clearly, do you think she would prefer to go backwards and live like she did before that understanding? Or do you think Eve is happy that she made the decision that she did? That's not something we typically contemplate very often, is it? If she were to be given the situation to occur a second time, a do-over, if you will, knowing what that blessed mother, because she does stand as mother, goddess, what would she choose to do a second time round? Now, the reason I'm kind of tying in this whole biblical thing is I know one of the things that I've been pondering myself in my own spiritual path is how people will receive me and Grimm, and therefore our daughter Mist, who travels with us, and also our extended family, other members of our coven. I want this to be a positive experience for all of us. And so I'm coming to terms with some of my own fears. You know, I get asked that a lot about how do you overcome fears like this? You know, if we identify a fear during a soul signature reading, for example, how does one address that fear and then let it go? And the answer is you have to take the fear and turn it into feel. Once you allow yourself to feel that fear in one form or fashion, then you can start to address the ways in which different parts and pieces have contributed to that answer, to that issue standing there facing you in your life right now. It allows you to ponder for a while, perhaps a deeper perspective, a different perspective than yours, looking at it from the other person's point of view, or perhaps people that were involved, taking a step aside and looking at it from their point of view. Sometimes that is often the most difficult thing to do, because that means that we have to temporarily put our own ego aside, if you will, our own ego and our own expected outcome. Because when you reach a point like that with someone where you are repeating yourself over and over again, where you find yourself maybe arguing the same point, maybe it's a different detail, but the argument's the same. And if repeating your story over and over again to the point that you're brought to tears doesn't work, then I would suggest that you have to change one of the other pieces of the formula. It might just be that you need to change your perspective, even if only for a brief moment, to allow yourself to see the situation from another's point of view, and really not just see it, feel it. That's the thing about undoing fear, is first you have to feel. Now, do you have to wallow in that fear? Does the fear have to be what you feel the whole time? No. Once you allow yourself to kind of dive into the emotion of it, let yourself relive some parts that you've been pushing away. let your mind travel back in that space, in that time. Do it in a safe space with people around you that you trust and love. Of course, never do this without setting a safe space spiritually for yourself. Always remember that your protection, my protection, our protection as sovereign beings in this liminal space is very important. That we maintain contact with one another, but serenity and safety in numbers. It's also good to know when to let go sometimes. And that's another important and part of the lesson, don't you know? Yes. Well, Boog Cat has been sitting here with me most of the day. Grim and I have had a project we've been working on, and so we're just kind of keeping the energy flowing here. My tarot cards are actually recharged today. They've been in the sun, and also, I wish I had a second camera. I could show you Boog over here. He's got, he is just laying here next to the cauldron. He thinks that's a comfy spot. He grew up on our altar back when we started with witches, whiskey, and weed. He just then knocked the altar over because he's that kind of cat. Little stinker.
Tell me how I'm doing.
That's good. That's good. There he is. There he is. Hey, Boog. That's the Boog. Anyways, oops, you've got my head cut off. Everybody can see my tummy, though. There we are. I don't know if I have any people that, I think Grim is doing a tip thing. I certainly hope that nobody jumped in here and tried to like steal people away for a reading. Gosh, that happens almost, not every time, but frequently enough that I'm almost flattered. Or also saddened that people are so desperate that they do something that I would find unthinkable to do, which would be to jump in on another person's psychic readings and or you know, connections, live stream, whatever, and try to steal people from them. I have such a hard time with self-promotion. It's the weirdest thing. I just feel like my gifts are known to those that need to know them, and that's just kind of how I've always been. And so you don't see a lot of ads out there for Covened Up or Purple Door or Gussie and Grim. We're just not those people. What we are hardworking, sometimes just way too trusting to a fault, but constantly growing, constantly learning. And I find, and I know Grim does as well, find this very much a part of our own growth experience, if you will. It's not easy leading people, and I'm honored to be a part of that journey, however that may be for you, and for however long we're destined to be together. I feel a strong connection to quite a few of you, especially those that either interact a lot on the Purple Door, because I might not always be like right sitting there responding to every word. I have sisters behind me that do a lot of that for me at this point, because I'm off working with people one-on-one, trying to heal and help, as is Grim, and trying to get our own lives organized. But I do read almost everything that goes through the Purple Door. Sometimes I come to the ball game a little late because we live on the west coast of the United States, which in some cases is, you know, a full 4 hours behind the East Coast folks. And if there has been trouble a-brewing on the Purple Door, or our other page, which not a lot of people really go to anymore, but it's called the Grimoire of Gussie Grey Witch. If something's been a-brewing, so we don't always know about it until after it's been brewing for a while. So we have an admin team that we love and trust that oversee some of that for us. Why I'm talking about all of this, I don't know. I guess the sun is shining today, and it feels like it's that kind of sun as we started talking about at the beginning. I didn't really want to let go of that moment with the sunlight, because it feels like a cleansing sun. It is springtime. It's renewal. It's rejuvenating.
Coming out of hibernation.
Yeah, coming out of hibernation. That's been the topic this week. And gosh, I went over a lot of territory there. I hope the live stream stayed active the whole time. I hope no scam artists tried to come along and tell you that you could get a live reading or whatever they do.
Not a one.
Yeah, not a one. Good. Knock on wood. So let me draw a card. I know I've been on here much longer than I intended, but when the energy feels right, you just got to go with it sometimes, correct? Absolutely. My cards all charged up from Kitty Cat. Some petrified wood, which has been very much a part of the conversation at the Covenstead this week. And I wish she had it here. I should have planned a little ahead, but of course I don't really know that that's what I'm going to talk about when I contact you guys. But Patch, who lives here at the Covenstead with us, has been creating this lovely pendant for a friend, and it is made of petrified wood. And Siege, those of you that know Sieged Up, gifted me, one of the first gifts he ever gifted me with was a piece of petrified wood, which I cherish. I'm not going to give it all away because I prefer that you do a little bit of your own investigation. But I will tell you that if you think about petrified wood being, so hard that it turns into stone, I'll bet you can guess that it has to do with transformation. Petrified wood is used in many cultures to signify something sacred, a connection to something older and beyond our wisdom and knowledge. It harkens back to a time that maybe only the trees remember. And now, not even that many trees. I lost count of my shuffle here. So, I'm just going to assume that was good. Clear my own energy. Sometimes I do that. I just rub I have my candle here that I had lit earlier, and I'll just run my hand over the candle, not to burn myself, but just the hand that I just shuffled with. I also have this other weird little habit. Before I give a reading, I always brush my teeth. I just cannot, for some reason, do a reading or contact the spirit realm or the other, whatever you want to call it. I cannot do it with a dirty mouth. I just can't. I have to have fresh breath when communing with the dead. But it's so true. It's so true. They do often miss being 3D. They miss some of the grittiness of it. They miss sex, for example. As a matter of fact, oftentimes when people cross over, that's one of the first things that they have the most difficult time letting go of, is that physical sexual connection. So their souls might kind of float around out there for a while, hooting and hollering and kind of sowing their wild oats again. Don't be jealous out there if you're a widow. It's not like you're thinking. But yeah, why I'm telling you that, I don't know. But I guess I'm just saying fresh breath is important to me when I give a reading. So, mint. And my tea today is ginger tea, and this card is just calling to me, so I'm pulling it. Okay, the Six of Cups inverted. I half expected to pull the Sun card, part of the major arcana. I have expected to pull that. I mean, I've been talking about the Sun today. I've been talking about, rejuvenation and renewal. But this card, the Six of Cups, I don't know if you can see it in this light. I always struggle with that. There, it kind of looks like that. You can sort of see it. This card has to do with, and I need to take a listen myself, shining your own light. Did you hear that, Gussie? Yes, I did. Shining your own light. Like the sun, yes, like the sun. But how often do you shine your own light just to give it away to other people? How many times do you shine your own light just to give it away to other people? Now, the thing you have to ask yourself is, the people that you're giving this light away to, are they accepting it with gratitude? Are they gracious about receiving your light? Are they grateful and loving? And are they giving you what they can in return as far as energy goes? It doesn't have to be equal. Heaven knows that if you're a parent, you understand that it does not have to always be equal. There's many ways. There's many ways to show love and equal energy exchange. But how often do you give your energy, your love, your light to someone, and there is no one that really is giving it back? Sometimes all you get from them is a reflection, and I'll even say deflection. Instead of, you're holding you're shining your light out toward them, they get it and they kind of bounce it back right at you. They don't necessarily want to see, or they don't want to feel. Which brings us back around to that whole thing about, how do you address a fear? And I encourage you to feel it. Not the fear. Don't live there. Get past it and get into the details that are making you afraid. Half of them you can toss away, because half of them are unnecessary. They are what ifs, and they're not part of this projected this matrix sequence, if you will. It's not part of what you're manifesting right now. So quit bothering your extra neurons. Quit taking up that real estate there. Let that go. You don't need those extra worries. The ones you need to focus on are the ones that are really in front of you. And you might have to take a step back and take a look at it and see. It might not be that someone's directly threatening you, but it might be that the light you're giving to someone is not being given in return. And you start to realize that where we're headed as a society, that needs to be in concordance with one another. There needs to be, if you are interacting with someone, I'm hearing, take a moment to reach out. I had someone reach out to me today. I tried to do this. You guys don't know this, but I think Grimm does, and anybody that lives here probably knows that I try to reach out to at least 5 people a day that I haven't heard from recently, just to let them know that I love them and I'm thinking about them. I don't always make my 5. I sometimes don't make 1. sometimes I make one and it's such an important one that it kind of scrubs all the other four because it was very much an energy needed. And I'm glad to help out in ways that I can help that way. But it is a time where we all need to start realizing if we keep putting our energy into a situation over and over and over and over and over, and we're not getting an equal and fair amount of exchange energetically, it might be time to consider if that is a toxic relationship for you. Now, I know that might scare you right away, like, oh my God, like, there's been so much divorce in my family, and I can't even think about it. I don't even, I didn't get married to get divorced, and I'm not encouraging that. That is not what I'm encouraging. What are you doing? Besides interrupting me. Graham. You want to show everybody something? Graham's got a toy.
That's not a toy. It was a
I know,
visual
but
representation.
what were you going to do?
The same conversation that we've had with our children about our cups, sharing energy back and forth.
Oh, you're thinking about the cups. You want to show them? I'm going to invite him into my space. Come on, Graham. I don't even know if there are people still watching.
Yes, there are, actually.
Oh, good. Come on in.
It's not often I get to intrude upon your sacred 420 tarot time.
I know,
is it?
6 of Cups space here.
6 of Cups space. Well, you had made a comment about
I want to show you the picture.
sharing your energy. That's a pretty card.
What do you see when you look at that?
Not an equal exchange of energy.
If you look at it this way with it, the right side up.
That feels more of a balanced exchange of energy.
Does it?
It does. Maybe it's because I'm going into it with a preconceived notion based on something that you had said about how it's important for us to kind of ration our light, the energy that we send out based on how it's being returned back to us. And it made me think of the times that we've had to have talks with our children.
I was touching in on the ration word because that one went, ow, stabby stab. I don't know why that did, but it did. I kind of got a cringe.
Well, it is kind of a rationing in one regard, but the way I look at it is when you go into a relationship, and this is what we used to teach our children, you go into a relationship, you're a vessel half full with yourself, and the other half is empty, ready to receive potential from somebody else.
You want me to be one of these jars?
You can be one of those other jars.
Okay, here I am.
So I'm having some issues in my life going on right now, and I reach out to Gussie for some of her energy for her to give me, and I
sure will help you, Graham. I love you so much. Here you go.
And I take some of that energy, and now I've got some more tools to work with. I've got some more battery power to get my issues taken care of.
It's easier to see over here.
Is it? Before I'm done taking care of it, though, suddenly, son of a gun, oh, shoot, Gussie, I've got another problem. Can you help me with it real quick?
I got some more to spare. Yeah,
okay.
Sure. There's a little bit today, though.
Well, okay, but I might need some more help later. Can I give you a little of this back right there?
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
But you can see the imbalance in that. Eventually, it will get to the point where your light is filling somebody else's vessel, and you're left over here. So you're right, Gussie. Rationing is not maybe the right word, but it depends on who you're dealing with.
Well, and part of it is, the difficult part is knowing when you need to pull the plug, if you will, on that energy exchange. Mm-hmm. Now,
thank you for letting me intrude on your 420 time.
Before I forget, though, I don't want to forget what I was going to tell them. And that is, just because I've now spoken about, toxic relationships or unhealthy, bonds between people. Just because I say that does not have to make you like spark worry about divorce or, having to move on completely and start your life over and all of that. It doesn't have to start there. What needs to start is that you recognize how much light you're giving, how much you're receiving, and if there is not an equal energy exchange, recognize the need to bring that to light. I guarantee you this: whoever the other person is in the relationship is not a happy camper, because they can't be. If the two of you, or however many people are in this group, and it might not just be a relationship like husband-wife kind of, partner kind of thing. It could be brother-sister. It could be father-daughter. I'm not talking sexual here necessarily. It could be a group of friends that suddenly find themselves having a real difficult time understanding one another. I just don't understand her anymore. I don't get it. But allowing yourself to step back and feel for a moment, and then to see it from that other person's point of view, is one of the most bravest and most miraculous steps you can take for yourself, because it really helps you to start that healing process of understanding where that person may be coming from a little better. Right or wrong is another story, okay? I'm not saying that this is the time for judgment. And I'm not even saying put your own feelings aside for a moment, although you kind of have to, don't you? Just for a moment to consider that there is something else. Anyways, I digress.
I'm going to interrupt you for just a moment here. I'm doing a little experiment now. You've had orbs bouncing around you, and I have not commented on it because I just wanted to let things be, and me, paranormal investigation and all.
Right.
But some of your viewers here are commenting on the fact that you've had orbs floating around you here. Here just a moment ago, I purposely sprinkled a little dirt in front of the camera.
I wonder what the heck you were doing.
Trying to see if I could simulate what was going on around you. No. You've got orbs.
Well, we called ancestors in here with us. And we've got candles burning, and we're talking about deep things. We're talking about pretty much now when you encounter, because so many of you have been working on this shadow work for so long, some of you might say most of your adult life. And some of you, adult life started at the age of 12, and some of you, adult life started at the age of 18. Some of you just started recently. No judgment. Don't even know why that was important to say. So just trying to reconnect. I need to talk again about the vibrational energy shift, because a lot of people seem to think that that's something that they've already gone through and it's done. I need to tell you that the vibrational energy shift that you are going through now, which may be manifesting, depending on where you are in the process, you may be feeling lots of pain and pressure in your sinuses, behind your eyes. You might be thinking, wow, this is one doozy of springtime allergies. And it may be, of course, but I know that globally speaking, that a lot of people are having difficulty with their eye pressure, eardrum pressure is kind of popping and changing, almost like altitude change, even though you're not really going through any altitude change. You might be just living in your old house like you always do, your special place, your safety zone, but your ears feel different or itchy even. The density of the earth is changing. The frequencies of the earth are changing. Don't ask me for data about that. I don't know. I just know what I hear and what I'm told. So it's not something that you're going to go through and then stop, and then go through and then stop. Although you do get these little stop gates, if you will, where you're kind of given the choice if you want to move on and learn more, or if you want to just stay kind of going on this trajectory for a while. And so you get those choices. I find myself wanting to move on and know more and learn more each and every day, to the point of being distracting at some points. I don't know if the rest of you feel that way. It feels like the journey has really become more of a quest at this point. Not really sure what that means, but it has felt more urgent than ever before. And I say that humbly and with love and excitement in my heart. But don't forget that vibrational energy is out there. It's happening. It's shifting all the time. The earth is going through its own processes and changes. Each person on the earth is going through its own processes and changes. Each other living being on the earth is going through its processes and changes as these vibrational energies do shift. We're all affected by it. Bless you, cat. Goodness. Bless you. I think Cat's not just flew across the screen. I'm sorry about that. Boobs had a bit of a cold. But anyways, I feel like I'm just blabbing on too long. Just remember, the thing that you'll hear Grim and I say over and over again, and I know we're not the only ones by any stretch of the imagination, but just remember to breathe. When you are having pain right now, when you are having physical distress, remember to breathe. Remember to send that breath. When you breathe it in, imagine that breath coming in and rolling through. Imagine it can just pass through like smoke and go straight to that point of injury on your body right now where it's hurting. And imagine with that breath, that intake of energy, you are able to recreate healthy cells in the space where those old ones, those painful ones, are deteriorating and dying or somehow ill. Let's clear that old space away. Let's let in the new. Let's bring in the breath. Bring it to that point of pain. Release the pain and let it go. Our emotional and spiritual selves are so totally tied to our physical bodies as well. If you're one of those people that has been to the doctor over and over again and doctors just can't quite seem to figure out what's wrong with you, this is a time for learning right now about ourselves, about our past lives, about our ancestors, where we've been, who we are, where we've come from, at least what we're being shown, the wisdom we're being granted. Like the Six of Cups, know when to let your light shine and in what direction. Know when someone is offering you a hand for real or a hand to simply get something for themselves. These are strong concepts that we all need to consider, especially going into this new world that's surfacing kind of right before us on a global scale. That's enough for tonight. I hope that you can take your next best step. I hope these words have been heard by whoever needs to hear them. I hope you know that if you need to reach out to me for some more personalized guidance, you're certainly welcome. If you gave me a tip here, I will contact you somehow here shortly. Is that what I'm going to do? Contact people?
Yes.
Okay. And
they're one-card reading.
One-card reading. And other than that, you stay magical. I love you guys. Thanks for supporting Graham and I, and Covened Up, and the Purple Door, and what?
GoFundMe.
Oh, and support us on GoFundMe, please, please. Our bus trip is just around the corner, and we'd like you to be a part of it. Stay magical. I suppose I should have hit the stop streaming button.